Before you even think about tossing that nickel on your dresser tonight, I need you to stop. Because right now, in your pocket, your car cup holder, maybe even that dusty jar in your kitchen, there could be hidden wealth staring back at you. And nobody talks about these. I'm serious. Collectors are fighting over certain Monticello Jefferson nickels, while the rest of the country is casually spending them on gas station coffee. Real auction shock is happening behind closed doors, and these coins change everything for the people who recognize them. So check your pocket now. Do not spend these coins. The first one we're about to uncover is already shocking, but what comes after it is even rarer, scarier, and worth even more. Stay with me. Coin number 1. Now let's talk about the nickel that looks completely ordinary, but absolutely isn't. I want you to picture 1947. America was exhausted. World War II had just ended. Soldiers were coming home. Factories were shifting from wartime production back to civilian life. The economy was under pressure. Inflation was creeping in. The nation was transitioning fast. And when a country transitions, mistakes happen. Minting pressure builds. Dies wear out. Production demands spike. And that's where this silent fortune was born. The 1947 Jefferson nickel without a mint mark. Struck in Philadelphia. No flashy D, no bold S, just a plain date, 1947. Most people see it and shrug. Collectors don't, because 1947 was a pivot year. Wartime alloy experiments had ended in 1945. The mint had returned to its standard composition, 75% copper and 25% nickel. That copper-rich surface is exactly why many of these coins today show those deep gray and brown layers, that almost antique, moody toning that serious collectors obsess over. And the one we're talking about? Very good condition. Gray and brown, layered surfaces. Original skin intact. No mint mark. And today's market value? $243,000. Yes, for a 5-cent coin. Let that sink in. Now here's why this specific 1947 without mint mark becomes dangerous to ignore. First, understand the design. On the obverse and the front, you have the left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, designed by Felix Schlag. His profile is calm, almost quiet. The word liberty curves along the right, and in God we trust anchors the left. The date, 1947, sits firmly at the bottom. On the reverse, Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia estate, strong lines, clean steps, e pluribus unum across the top, United States of America, and 5 cents below. But here's the detail most people miss. The steps of Monticello. Collectors fixate on those steps like hawks. Even in lower grades, they analyze strike sharpness, die state, and wear patterns. Because minting stress in the late 1940s was real. Dies were overused. Presses were pushed. And small inconsistencies became hidden markers of rarity. This is not fiction. In 1947, Philadelphia struck tens of millions of nickels. But survival today in original untouched condition, that's a different story. These coins circulated heavily. They bought groceries, bus rides, milk, newspapers. They were handled, dropped, scratched, cleaned, sometimes harshly scrubbed by well-meaning owners who destroyed their value forever. And that's the trap. If you ever find one, do not clean the coin. I don't care how dark it looks. I don't care if the gray and brown toning seems dirty. That original toning matters. That antique surface, that's history. Once you clean it, you erase the microscopic texture collectors pay for. You strip away the silent fortune hiding in plain sight. Let's talk about how this coin actually feels in your hand. It weighs exactly 5.0 grams. Not 4.8, not 5.3, 5 grams. That weight is your first checkpoint. Its diameter is 21.2 millimeters, just over 2 centimeters across. The thickness, about 1.95 millimeters. The edge is smooth, no reading. The girth feels modest, almost forgettable. And that's why people miss it. It doesn't feel valuable. It feels normal. And that's what makes it powerful. Because while it feels ordinary, collectors see something else. They see post-war transition metal flow. They see die fatigue indicators. They see a surviving piece of economic shift. They see a coin that shouldn't have survived in original, very good condition, with natural gray and brown layering after nearly 8 decades of circulation. Most were spent. Most were damaged. Most were cleaned. The ones that weren't, they're locked away. And when one surfaces at auction, especially one verified, graded, authenticated, the room goes quiet. Bidding doesn't start loud. It starts calculated. Then it climbs. Because collectors holding these coins don't want to sell. Demand rises. Supply shrinks. The psychology changes. Suddenly, it's not 5 cents anymore. It's hidden wealth. It's serious money. It's a life-changing opportunity sitting in a flip holder under bright lights. Professional grading is critical here. You cannot guess value on raw hope. A certified example from a top grading service confirms authenticity, surface originality, and condition. Without that slab, you're gambling. With it, you're holding a documented fortune. And here's what you check first if you find one. Date clarity, 1947, sharp and legible. No mint mark under the date, Philadelphia issue. Surface originality, no hairline scratches from cleaning. Natural toning, gray and brown layers that look aged, not polished. Monticello detail, especially those steps. If you see unusual darkness or uneven coloration, don't panic. That might be exactly what collectors crave. But never ever try to improve it. Patience creates wealth in this game. Impatience destroys it. And here's another truth most people miss. The economic pressure of 1947 caused intense circulation. America was rebuilding. Consumer demand exploded. Coins moved fast. They weren't saved. They weren't treated like collectibles. They were tools of survival in a shifting economy. That's why survival today, in authentic, original state, is rare. And rarity plus demand equals auction shock. $243,000. For a nickel. This is why I say, check your pocket now. Because someone, somewhere, has spent one of these without realizing it. They handed over hidden treasure for a pack of gum. Do not spend this coin. If you find one that matches these details, isolate it immediately. Place it in a soft holder. No rubbing. No wiping. No cleaning. Then consult a professional grading service. That step alone could be the difference between 5 cents and a silent fortune. Collectors emotionally want this coin because it represents transition, survival, post-war America. It's a physical piece of national recovery. And owning one feels like holding a preserved moment in time, a moment most people overlooked. And that emotional connection fuels aggressive bidding. This detail changes everything. Because once collectors realize how few untouched examples remain, competition intensifies. Quiet phone bids, online sniper bids in the final seconds, private negotiations. These coins disappear into long-term collections, sometimes for decades, which means fewer available, which means higher prices, which means The next time one surfaces, it could break records again. You might be holding a fortune and not even know it. Stay till the end of this series, because the next Monticello Jefferson nickel we're about to reveal makes this one look common. It's rarer. It's more shocking. And if you think $243,000 is unbelievable, wait until you see what's coming next. Next up, you're not ready for this one, because this coin is modern. It's not dusty. It's not ancient. It doesn't look dramatic or worn down by history. It looks clean, sharp, beautiful, ordinary. And that's exactly why people are losing it every single day. We're talking about the 1997 Jefferson nickel with the D mint mark, struck in Denver, in extra fine condition, with a very clear, beautiful look. And before you roll your eyes and say, "It's from the 90s, so that can't be rare," I need you to slow down. Because this one has sold for $230,000. Yes, a coin you might have used to buy a soda in high school. Do not spend this coin. Now let's rewind to 1997. America was booming. The dot-com era was exploding. The stock market was climbing. Technology was reshaping everything. People weren't thinking about saving nickels. They were investing in internet startups and buying new computers. Coin collecting was not on the radar of the average American. And that's exactly why certain coins from this era slipped through unnoticed. In 1997, the US Mint was producing massive numbers of coins to keep up with commercial demand. Vending machines, arcades, laundromats, nickels were moving fast. The Denver Mint struck millions of them. On paper, it sounds common. But here's where it gets dangerous to ignore. Production speed creates pressure. Pressure creates die fatigue. Die fatigue creates inconsistencies. And occasionally, extremely occasionally, it produces sharply struck, unusually preserved coins that survive in higher grades against all odds. Most 1997D nickels were tossed into circulation immediately. They clanged against quarters. They scraped inside cash drawers. They lived rough lives in pockets and cup holders. Finding one today in true extra fine condition with very clear, beautiful surfaces, that's rare. And when rarity meets modern survival bias, collectors go quiet, then aggressive. Let's break down what you're actually holding. On the obverse, you see Thomas Jefferson's familiar left-facing portrait, still based on Felix Schlag's original design. In God We Trust sits boldly to the left. Liberty and the date 1997 are positioned to the right. And just beside the date, that tiny but powerful D, that D changes everything, because it tells you this coin was struck at the Denver Mint, where production levels were high and quality control battles were constant. A sharply detailed 1997D with minimal wear becomes a survivor story. Flip it over. Monticello stands centered and proud. E pluribus unum above. United States of America, and 5 cents below. But here's the detail collectors obsess over: the steps of Monticello. In extra fine condition, those steps show separation. Not fully pristine like mint state, but strong. Defined. Clear enough to show the strike quality survived circulation. Most people miss this. They glance at the coin and see 5 cents. Collectors see structure, strike strength, surface integrity, luster remnants. Now let's talk about how this coin feels in your hand, because this detail matters more than you think. It weighs 5.0 grams. Exactly. The composition is 75% copper and 25% nickel, the same long-standing alloy used for modern nickels. That copper core gives it durability, but also makes it vulnerable to surface scratches and dulling. The diameter is 21.2 millimeters. Thickness, 1.95 millimeters. Smooth edge. No reading. The girth feels average, unimpressive even. And that's why people underestimate it. It feels like every other nickel. But the one in extra fine condition with exceptionally clear surfaces and strong detail, that's the hidden wealth. Here's what makes 1997 different historically. The late 90s were not a preservation era for coins. Unlike earlier decades when some people stored rolls, most 1997 nickels went straight into circulation ecosystems that were brutal. Vending mechanisms scrape surfaces. Coin-counting machines leave micro-abrasions. Chemical exposure from sweaty pockets causes dulling. Survival in attractive extra-fine condition decades later is far rarer than the original mintage numbers suggest. And collectors understand survival rates, not just mintage. That's why when a beautifully preserved 1997D nickel hits the auction block, authenticated and professionally graded, the bidding behavior shifts. It starts conservative. Then someone recognizes the eye appeal. Then someone else notices the step definition. Then the competition begins. Because modern condition rarities create psychological tension. They feel attainable, but they're not. $230,000 for a 1997D nickel. This is not fiction. And if you find one that looks unusually sharp, unusually clean, unusually well preserved, stop. Do not spend this coin. Now let's talk about the biggest mistake people make. Cleaning. If you think shining it up will increase value, you've just erased thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars. Cleaning creates microscopic hairlines that grading services detect instantly. Once labeled cleaned, the silent fortune disappears. Original surfaces matter. Original toning matters. Even slight natural dullness is better than artificial shine. Professional grading is critical here. With modern coins, authentication protects you from both overestimating and underestimating value. A certified slab with an extra fine designation and strong eye appeal transforms that nickel from pocket change into serious money. Collectors emotionally want this coin because it represents overlooked modern rarity. It's proof that treasure isn't just buried in the 1,800 cess. It's hiding in plain sight, in plain years. And here's what you check first if you think you've found one. Look at the mint mark. The D must be clear and well-formed. Examine Jefferson's hair detail. In extra fine, you should still see strong lines. Check Monticello's steps. Are they separated or flattened? Tilt the coin under light. Look for original sheen, not polish. Avoid touching the surface with bare fingers if possible. Oils degrade condition over time. Patience creates wealth. Impulse destroys it. Demand for top-condition modern nickels has been rising quietly. More collectors are recognizing that high-grade survivors from the 1990s are tougher than expected. Meanwhile, supply isn't growing. These coins aren't being made anymore. Every damaged example reduces the surviving pool, which means the next premium quality 1997D that appears becomes a target. Collectors don't always sell once they acquire one. They hold. They wait. They treat it like a long-term asset. And that holding behavior shrinks availability even more. This detail changes everything. Because you could walk past one of these today. You could get one in change at a grocery store. You could drop it into a tip jar without a second thought. And that could be a life-changing opportunity slipping through your fingers. $230,000 is not pocket change. It's hidden wealth. It's a silent fortune. It's serious money hiding behind a date that feels too recent to matter. So check your change. Look closely at every 1,997 nickel with a D. If it looks unusually sharp, unusually beautiful, unusually well-preserved, and stop! Do not spend this coin. Because the difference between 5 cents and a fortune is knowledge and patience. And if you think a modern 1997D is shocking, wait until you see what happens when a small mint mark, a production anomaly, and a year of national transition collide in the next coin we're uncovering. That one, it doesn't just surprise collectors. It stuns them.